to point out when in Kaddish there are two responses that are possible at one place. On the paragraph that begins Yisbarach v'yishtabach v'yispareh v'yisumam v'yisnaseh, that is, we say that God's name should be praised, glorified, exalted, mighty, upraised, lauded. There are two possible responses. One can be when you mention God's name, like in Hebrew we say Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo, after saying God's name. In Aramaic it's Brichu, may he be blessed. That's one response. The other response is Amen, that I believe this is true and it should come to pass, as is said at the end. So this morning, if you just heard, when it came to that place, according to Nusach Hari and Nusach of Eidot HaMizrach, you say Amen there rather than Brichu. And that's what happened at that moment. The person saying Kaddish said, whoa, what's going on over here? Doesn't sound right. There's a different response that was just said over here. And that's what happened then. But that's not what I want to talk about.
But you did anyway.
This morning, coming into shul, I was speaking with Walter, and we spoke about something that I had mentioned on Monday morning, that the Mishnah Brura that I quoted from has inside of it Zecher Nishmas Reb Yaakov Ephron. And who was this Yaakov Ephron? Who was it that donated it? But it's very interesting that in a Mishnah Brura that I had seen many years ago by a collector in Yerushalayim, he had in the upper corner of the page the word Muga, which is corrected or looked at, and it was written in pencil in a very old copy, in an old copy of the Mishnah Brura, and he said he didn't know if that was the handwriting of the Chafetz Chaim himself or a member of his family. Because when the Chafetz Chaim sent out his Mishnah Brura, when I say sent out, there was no 1-800 Eisner or Art Scroll to call at that time. It was sent from the publisher to everyone. So the Chafetz Chaim made sure that every single copy of the Mishnah Brura that went out had all of the pages and no mistakes. So they would write inside of it that it had been checked in the house. So he showed it to me. He said, again, I don't know if it was the Chafetz Chaim's signature, but for sure it came from his house, this original copy of the Mishnah Brura. Because a Sefer to us is of tremendous importance. We know with a Sefer Torah, the laws are very, very strict about it. The Gemara tells us that Rabbi Meir says to someone, you are a lavlor. Lavlor, the Aramaic word for a scribe. Be very careful because malachtecha meleches shamayim. Your work is the work of heaven, because if you have one extra letter or one letter missing, you're destroying the world, because the Torah is the entire world. It's the blueprint for the world. And if you change one thing in the blueprint, then the world won't exist. So be very careful what you do. There was a very famous family in Hungary by the name of Schreiber, but we probably know them by a different name, and that was the Hebrew Sofer, the Chassam Sofer, the family that established a great deal of Torah in the yeshivas and the network throughout Hungary. His name was Sofer, a scribe. And there's another famous scribe that you really have to hear about, and that's one person from the time of Tanakh that is called Sofer. That was Ezra HaSofer, Ezra the scribe. That was the title that was given to him, and hopefully you'll hear tonight why that was such an important title given to him, that he was called Sofer. Because tonight we're beginning at 7 o'clock the study of the book